Awesome. So here we are with the lovely Courtney Smith
Hello.
from Plant
Thank you.
Delicious.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's lovely to have you here because I could just talk to you all day, and what you have to share and offer is so inspiring. And I just, my come from is I just want people to be healthy and love themselves as much as possible. And there's such an issue around food and how that gets abused and distorted in how we love ourselves and how we abuse it in order to feel love. And the thought, a lot of the struggle with being healthy and loving ourselves is that the thought of doing that is hard work and it's difficult, or we're going to have to live on lettuce leaves and nothing else in order to have the bodies that we want. And it's just not true. I eat whatever I want and I love what I eat, but I'm aligned to eating really good stuff that feels good to me. And I know the vibration of food has to be right. And when you're making it yourself, it changes everything. So I'm going to shut up now and hand over to Courtney, because I know that she makes this whole healthy eating and kind of this connection process much easier. And she's going to share with everybody today how you can do that, how you can really kind of bring us back to the earth, which is fundamental for kind of this Nourish journey that we're on, because we're connecting with the earth element, and also how we nourish ourselves and how we can have that in abundance as well. So please introduce yourself, Courtney. Tell us what it is that you do and what you've got to share with us today.
Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me on this session. So I'm Courtney and I created Plant Delicious. And Plant Delicious was kind of an idea in March 2020, 2 years ago, where everything kind of shut down and I couldn't work. So I was like, right, okay, what can I do? I want to start doing something positive. And I was just at home in renting a room on my brother's flat. And I was like, I'm going to start growing food. Like loads of people had spoken about growing food and stuff, and I wanted to do it. But I didn't have an outdoor space. All I had was a windowsill. So I decided to grow microgreens. And for those of you who don't know what microgreens are, they're a vegetable or a herb that you can eat the leaves off of that you grow. They're not a specific type of plant. They're just any vegetable herb, and you harvest them at a certain point where they're at their optimum amount of nutrition. And this is really exciting because it's so accessible to get a boost of this nutrition in your diet. And they've got a punch of flavour as well. So if you imagine something a little bit like cress, because cress can be a microgreen if you eat it when it's got its third leaf, because the third leaf, the true leaf that comes through, is a little sign that that's when the plant has got the most optimum nutrition. And the reason why that at that point is it's got its most nutrition is because it's gone through its photosynthesis stage, and then it's holding all that boost of energy ready to create a bigger plant. So I thought this was amazing, and I really wanted to start growing them on my windowsill. I've got some microgreens here with me that I started off, I'm going to say 4 days ago, from seed, and they're looking like this. They're looking a little bit sorry for themselves because they've not had any photosynthesis yet. They're not very nice and bright and green.
They look very autumnal.
Sorry?
They look very autumnal.
And these are mustard microgreens. So I'm going to do something really fun. Well, I think it's fun because I'm such a plant geek, and I'm going to put them on the windowsill while we talk about growing your own food. And then at the end, I'm going to show you, and hopefully the experiment works, and I have trust in these little buddies, and they will photosynthesize and look completely different to this. So because this is recorded, you can catch us on the record.
Oh,
go back and see the difference, which is going to be amazing. So I'm just going to put it in my windowsill.
Evidence.
Yeah.
I'm just going back to what you were saying at the start. Thank you for sharing your, how you got to be doing this, and it's just so innovative. When you said, you were saying, like, what can I do? What can I do? What was that? You said you wanted to do something positive. What was the drive for that? Positive for who?
Just for myself. And then it just spiraled from there, because I've learned so much over the last 2 years that growing food, the abundance doesn't just benefit you, it benefits the whole nature around you and all the community around you. Because when you grow your own food, you're going to have, if you're growing more than a windowsill and you're growing on some land in your gardens, you're going to have an abundance that's going to produce enough for other people as well, because you're not going to eat the amount of broad beans maybe that are going to develop on, like, say, 5 plants that you've put down there that all come at once. So you can store them, but you can also share them with your community. And then before they even get into the broad bean stage, the flowers are going to help the pollinators in your area. And those pollinators aren't just going to go to your garden and think, oh, I'm going to live in this garden because this is, like, I've got fences either side. They're going to go to everyone's garden in the area. So you attracting more pollinators to your garden is then going to help your neighbour who's growing food as well. And it just is a ripple-on effect, which is so amazing.
It is amazing. It just gives me goosebumps, and it just these little things are so huge. They're game changers. And just imagine if everybody on the planet did this. We are all one, aren't we? We all depend on each other. This is such a holistic way of being and living, and and really connecting also with nature and the earth. And it's all about sharing and community. When we can make it not about us, it changes everything. Absolutely beautiful. How much abundance we can create in other people's lives just by doing something simple like this.
And it teaches the lesson of energy exchange as well, because you're putting your energy into that plant and then you're getting the abundance back. And it's learning that actually it's okay to receive as well as giving as well. Like, I've heard this phrase.
Thank you. Ladies, did you hear that? It's okay to receive.
That's it. It's okay to receive. You give without judgment and you receive without shame, because it's important to have that flow. Otherwise we get stuck on different ends, and then no one's cup is overfilling and no one's benefiting from it. It's a good cycle. And growing the food really sort of taught me that as well, because I just think, well, a tree doesn't apologize for receiving water from the earth, really important.
Love that.
And then when I started growing this on the windowsill, I was like, this is fantastic. I really, really want to be able to share this with other people. I want to inspire other people. So then a few months later, I started doing workshops, and then I started selling seeds. And then I just wanted to do everything, because when you start learning, all this, you just want to share everything and give it to everyone. And then I recently this year, I've realised that I really have to scale back and become more simple and basic with the stuff to be able to give it to people in bite-sized, understandable chunks. Because otherwise you can get really overwhelmed, because I think I went through a process to get where I am now, but I can't then give that process to someone who's never started. And it's always about every time you grow something, it's the progress of that. Even if you fail and the plant dies, you're still making the progress. So a lot of people feel overwhelmed about, like, oh, I want to grow my own food, but I don't know how to start, or I feel, like I can't do all of this at once. You don't have to. You literally just have to plant a seed and watch that process from seed to plant to plate. And when you really link that plant to plate process together, it you really start to understand how connected to nature we are as well, and you get so satisfied, and it's so mindful, growing your own food, just watching it and releasing any expectation and being the observer of that experience. You learn so much from Mother Nature. It's amazing. So my kind of aim for Plant Delicious is to be this guide to help you experience that process, and then you can just go further and further from that. And it's also so nutritious as well, obviously. So not only are you getting this help through like mental health, emotional health, physical health if you've got a garden out there, but also physical health because you're taking good nutrition in as well. It's just so amazing to experience and connect everything back to Mother Earth.
Absolutely. And that for me, and this might not resonate with everyone else, but that's also about our spiritual health, being able to connect ourselves with, that which is greater than us, and, ground ourselves into the earth, bringing in the mindfulness, having that practice. It's just, it takes us outside of ourselves, or it takes us outside but also deep within. It's that as within so without, and it's just such a beautiful process. I love the plant to plate process, and actually how that process plays out in many other aspects of our lives as well. If we can adopt that process and then apply it in everything that we do, we can just constantly celebrate the magic that's unfolding before our eyes. And what a driver that is to motivate us to be healthy and well and live our best lives. I love it.
It becomes a ritual.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's a nourishing process.
Yes. So tell me, what does nourish mean to you?
All that. It means, I suppose it means to be nourished. It's just really thinking about that exchange of energy, and then being able to take that exchange of energy to yourself and holding it here, just being like cozy and feeling that warmth. I think that's without feeling like too deep and airy fairy.
It's not, trust me. And when we can get to that place and feel that for ourselves, that's enough. It's more than enough. And if you can help people get to that place by doing this simple process, then it's just, what a gift.
It's amazing. So if anyone that's watching this has grown food, wants to grow food, or is overwhelmed about growing their own food, please comment and let me know, because I'd love to get like some feedback of seeing where everyone is on their growing food journey. It'd be really lovely. And even if you've got pictures of your food that you've grown last year and stuff, post them. I'd really love to see it.
Well, I've got pictures. I was going to post it, and I thought, oh, she's just going to tell me off again, because not really. I'm still sprouting. I haven't quite made it to the microgreen stage, and I know.
Oh, I wouldn't.
But I know that there's so much more abundance available for me if I take that one step further. So that's my goal for this year, to really embrace that and take my health up to the next level. I love my sprouts, and I appreciate also that actually, whilst I feel it's an easy option for me, from what you've shared with me, is that the microgreens, okay, there might be a little bit more kind of application to it, but actually it's a better process, and I'm going to get more from it. In terms of the benefits, and also there's no downside to it. You can't do it wrong, but with the sprouts, I know that there is a fine line, and if we don't have it right, then they can go moldy, they can go off and work.
The thing is, if you sow the microgreens too close together as well and don't have that airflow, you can experience a form of them not being edible as well. So that's why I like to offer workshops to guide people.
Ah.
And yeah.
Tell me about your workshops.
Oh yeah, like just bringing it as like a ritual and a mindful sort of act as well. So in my workshops, I supply like these kits. I've got one coming up actually that's the edible windowsill workshop, which includes microgreens, but also includes different other things that you can grow on your windowsill, like forms of lettuce and herbs, even radishes, like depending on how deep you can get your containers. And you can use any containers. You don't have to have pots. You can use like a container that you had your mushrooms in from the shops as well. It doesn't have to be an expensive thing, but with these workshops you get a kit that I provide that's going to help you set up for success, and they come with cocoa core compost. Well, it's not really compost, it's like coconut husk that's like a block like this big, and you add water and then it like melts down and creates like a compost matter sort of thing. And we use that because it travels really well and it's easy to store. And then they come with pots and seeds as well, and you're kind of talked through with the workshop on how to do it, troubleshooting, how to care for your plant, which is amazing. And then I also got microgreen workshops that I'm doing at the end of February as well. But because this one is on the 22nd of the 2nd of 2020, it just happened to be on that date, and everyone's like, oh, that's a woo-woo day and all this. So I was like, oh, I want to do an offer with that. And instead of £30, I'm going to do it for £22, but you do have to sign up before the 15th. The 15th is the deadline because I have to get the kits out to you, and there are some spaces left on there. So
okay, did everybody hear that? Courtney's workshop, edible windowsill workshops on the 22nd of February. You need to sign up by the 15th, and she's giving you a special offer of just £22. She'll send you your kit, she'll guide you through it online, and then off you go.
Yeah, and these kits haven't been launched yet either. They're not being launched until the 28th of February. So you get to get the kits before they've even come out, which is amazing. You can see that I'm just so excited and passionate.
That's it. That's all I needed. Thank you very much. We have got a question. So Julie says, hi Courtney, what are the ideal conditions for growing microgreens? As I live on a narrow boat, I wondered if I can still grow them.
If you've got a well-lit windowsill and you've got light coming into an area of your boat that has a good temperature to germinate the seeds, like a room temperature normally. Different seeds germinate at different rates and different temperatures, so check the packet. You're really good to go. Like, I don't want to get the microgreens out just yet from the windowsill. They've not turned. They've started to, but they've not turned massively. But then it's okay. I won't worry about that. Sorry. So so a well-lit area, and just make sure that they're watered but not too overwatered. You could probably do it anywhere. Just experiment. Like, that's how I started.
You literally, in answer to your question, Julie, and correct me if I'm wrong, you just need a windowsill.
Yeah.
And
did I go around the house?
Whether you're on a boat, whether you're in a flat, wherever you are, if you've got a windowsill and you've got some light, this is 100% doable.
You can grow them outside, but yeah, you don't need to grow them indoors. I think you've got the threat of having like slugs and caterpillars outside though, so you probably get more success indoors because they grow so quick. They normally take about 7 to 14 days depending on what variety you're growing, and you can grow loads of different varieties, like from sunflowers, peas. Peas are really good because they cut and come again. So
sorry, just what you said there, when you cut the greens, is that it, or do they keep growing?
Well, it depends what variety you've got. So if they're a vegetable that's aimed to grow into a full broccoli, for instance, and you're doing broccoli microgreens, they're not going to come again because they're trained to grow into a full plant. But if you've got peas that are like pea shoots that are just going to keep coming up, they're fine to do that with.
So things
as
like
well.
herbs as well. So the herbs would
Like
keep going.
herbs could be that as well. Herbs take quite a while to germinate, so I don't really grow herbs as a microgreen because it can be quite costly, and they take around 10 days onwards to germinate, depending on what herb seed it is. So I get really impatient, and I'm just like, right, okay, I'll go with I'll go with like, which isn't good. It isn't very mindful, me going, come on, but it's learnt me patience. It's taught me patience. So yeah, you can do that with peas, definitely. But I just like to focus on red cabbage, broccoli, beetroot, radish. Radish is lovely. It's got a really good punch flavour, and it's nice to experiment with these. And the thing is, because they grow so quick, you don't have to take up so much window space. You can think, okay, I want these on one day, and then I'll sow some of these later on, and then I can have them later on a different day. Like, you can kind of work out a little thing of how you like to eat them. And I've only used small pots. I mean, normally when they're grown for restaurants, they're in big trays, and these big trays, they won't fit on your windowsill, and you don't need that amount. And you don't have to cut all of the plants at once when they're ready straight away. You can kind of cut them over a few days as you eat them, because they'll still stay fresh because they're actually grown from the living plant, which is amazing. You know, they're not going to go off.
I hope that answered your question, Julie. What I want to know is, like, if I wanted something that was just going to keep growing, that I didn't have to keep planting, what would be your top 3 suggestions, apart from the peas, for the best ones that you could plant? And then
the
just
microgreens, I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I know that you could probably do lettuce.
Right, yes.
You give that a go. But I find if you normally cut the seedling at the base, you kind of, that's it, of most of the plants. But if you want a cut and come again windowsill, you're looking at more lettuces like I've had green salad bowl or red salad bowl lettuce. I've done lamb's lettuce. You could experiment with spinach and the herbs, really, but you're only taking the leaves off of those when you're growing them a bit bigger, to like a baby leaf size onwards. I'm not saying they're not going to be nutritious at all. Like, of course, they're nutritious. They're not going to be as nutritious as microgreen, but still grow them on if you've got that space, because you're still getting that. You're still cutting off that time between plant to plate, which is really important, because at the moment we're buying food that's got a really long time between plant to plate that we haven't really necessarily controlled the growing conditions of. So if you have lettuce growing on your windowsill and you're taking the leaf, it's going to be more nutritious than anything you're going to get at the shops in a plastic bag anyway.
Yeah, and that's something that it is not common knowledge to people. I mean, I think a lot of people have an idea. It's quite a miracle that we can go to a local shop and pick up a vegetable that's come from another country, or even was harvested months previously. And that whole process of hanging around and what's being done to it in order to get it to that shop so it can get onto our plate is quite an arduous journey for that plant, and often, or that vegetable. And surely the nutritious content of that has diminished significantly. And is it worth it to put the effort in to bolster our health? We can't always have the luxury of having access to a constant, abundant, flow of fresh food. We do live in a world where it's convenient and it's useful to go to the supermarkets and receive, and have all that, and I'm really grateful for it. But in the same token, our health is being impacted negatively as a result. So wouldn't it be great for us to all adopt this process to bolster up the nutrition that's missing from the pieces that we're losing through that whole plant to plate process when we're dealing with supermarkets and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, like, yeah, you do get that boost on that windowsill. But I was reading an article somewhere that they were saying if we used all the green spaces of London to grow food, it would feed 40% of what we needed for the whole country. Like, if you really look on a permaculture basis of how to grow, that links in with helping the environment and looking after the soil, we could produce such an abundance. And that's why I think so many people have started to grow as communities, and there's a lot of community spaces, and there's a lot of like reconnect to your roots kind of projects, because people can see the abundance that they can produce in such a small space as well. And growing your own food really helps the soil and build up that, because we really have to protect our native microorganisms that are in our soil. And by buying local food, or food from even market gardens that are local to you in veg boxes, and then composting that and putting that through the food system, is then going to help the microorganisms in our soils. By getting food that's from abroad, that, say if I got a mango that's clearly not grown in this country, the microorganisms stuck on that wouldn't survive in our climates and our cold times. So it's really important to make sure that we kind of keep that system going as well. And this is where I mean, like, I've progressed so much in this knowledge that then talking about microorganisms in soil can be people just like, what is she going on about? Microorganisms, like, I'm so overwhelmed now.
It's important to know this. And I just want to say hi, because we've got a couple of ladies watching us. Hi Lisa,
okay,
hi Julie as well, and another Lisa too. Lovely to have you here. But it is important. I think, yes, we don't need to overwhelm ourselves, but it's important to have awareness as to the ripple effect that one can create just as a result of doing this. Just by supporting local food suppliers, it's going to support you in your health, it's going to support your microbiome, but it's also going to support the local environment, and then that's going to have a ripple effect. It's exponential, really, isn't it, if we do that? So I don't want people to think too big. Dream big, obviously, but when you're starting out, take the baby step, because that one small step will make a huge change, and you are a part of that. You're a piece of that. We're all interconnected, and just in taking care of yourself, you're taking care of the entire planet. So just know that.
You are. It is crazy, because we're conditioned to be so different. But, well, I know I am, and I know, I can't say everyone's conditioned that way.
We've all got conditioning.
But you do think, oh, I need to give. But when you receive and you become this like bright light with their cup filled, you then have such an amazing vibration and impact on the world around you anyway. And it all can start with a seed. If you're interested in growing your foods, start with a seed. Like, literally think, what would I like to grow? One thing that I would like to grow that I have space for. Could be any kind of herb, basil, rosemary, whatever. Buy a seed packet, plant the seed, and just watch it grow. And that is progress towards learning more. Like, you're not going to feed your whole family with a windowsill, but you're definitely going to benefit from it,
Yeah.
And it's amazing as well to, if you've got children, it's really good to do with kids.
I was just going to say that.
Because I get so like, wow, that's amazing. So think how kids would be like watching that. They would just be like mind blown, and it connects them as well, because when you go from that plant to plate process, and you think of it as a ritual and something that is a part of your life and is a way of your life, and you really bring that in, and you really bring that connection with food that we don't have when we go to the supermarket. And you think, right, okay, I'm going to plant the seed, and then I'm going to watch the seed grow, and then I'm going to cut and harvest, and then I'm going to wash it, and then I'm going to prepare it, and having that care and having that intent of like, this is going to nourish me, this is going to be really good for me. And then as you eat the food, it gives you more thanks, it gives you more gratitude, it gives you more connection. And I just feel like so many people are starving for connection as well. So yeah, I think that's everything I want to say.
No, that's beautiful.
Any more questions?
No, that's absolutely beautiful, and connection is so important, and you know, it's something that I bang on about as well, and that I want to encourage people to, you know, bring back into their lives. We've had these last 2 years where it's been drummed into us to disconnect, and it's wrong. And by simply doing this, it's an act of self-love. You know, self-love doesn't have to be complicated, but when you love yourself, like I said earlier, it supports others. So we have to turn that around, that conditioning you were talking about. It's not about giving, it's actually receiving. When you can receive, you're giving to yourself, which then expands outwards. The thing with the kids, I mean, you know, if we could get in there and teach them how to do this, it's like they learn it then. It just becomes a natural part of their life. And if that continues through generation, imagine what it's going to be like in 50 years, 100 years. You know, if everybody is doing this, it's going to be life-changing.
The Garden of Eden.
Exactly.
There'll be fruit trees everywhere. You walk down the road and be, oh, fancy breakfast on the way to work, I'll just grab an apple. Can you imagine?
Free food.
That would be so cool. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm happy to answer anything.
Please do.
And
no more questions at the moment. Michaela is here as well. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today. Please do, if you've got questions, do ask here, do ask now, or pop them in the chat later, and Courtney's in the group, so she'll answer them then too.
Yeah. I want to see what's happened to my microgreens after half an hour.
Oh, let's have a look.
Shall we have a look? I can't promise that there's going to be much action, but we'll see. I don't know. They kind of look.
They look perkier.
Do you think they look brighter?
Yeah, I do. They do look brighter.
We'll have to go back. What I'll do is I'll post a picture of what they look like at the end of the day after they've been photosynthesizing, because obviously they're not ready to eat yet because they're not on their third leaf, but we will see how much they perk up from the lights.
So Michaela says teenage boys are hard to inspire with the technology era. Yeah, I'm sure, but I'm trying. Oh, bless you. And that's it. That's all we can do, isn't it? Just keep going, Michaela.
Yeah, I think that's a difficult one, isn't it? Because if you don't have an initial interest in growing it, it's hard to connect to it. But I suppose maybe if you lead by example and you start doing that process, I think children do notice, even if they don't say it. Because I've got an autistic nephew, and I would say something to him and it feels like he's just blanking it. It feels like he's not listening. Like I was saying to him, because he was going to go and sit on a pen, and I was like, can you move the pen and not sit on that? And then obviously I didn't say it like that. I said it in a nice way. And then it looked like he wasn't listening, and then I said it 3 times because you have to do repetitive with him. And then he picked it up and brought it over to me and gave it to me, and then sat down. I was like, oh my God, it didn't even look like you was listening to what I was saying, but you was. And I think they do pick up on stuff, even though they don't give you any inkling for you to be happy, yeah, they've listened to me. But I think they will notice.
They do. It is about leading by example, isn't it? And it's not about trying to force change on people, but if we can be those role models and just, display that for other people, then people will see suit rather. I meant my mindfulness teacher, Buddhist teacher, was telling a story about the mother who's got the children, and she needs to find some time for herself, so every day she'd sit down for a few minutes and close her eyes and meditate. And every time the children are like shaking her and going, mum, trying to distract her. And every day she just kept going and going and going, and even just for a few minutes. And then at the end, you know, in a few weeks' time, the children were actually copying and sitting down every time she sat down to do it.
Yeah.
So don't think that it doesn't have an impact. It does. We've just got to keep doing it, keep moving forward.
Because we are kind of like the guidance to how they would need to behave in different situations. Because as I like going from my family home to then living on my own, and the way the household was run, you would then think, right, okay, my mum used to hoover like this, or my mum used to do the washing like that, and then you think, oh, I'm going to do it like that, because you wouldn't know how to do it any other way. And like living with my boyfriend, his mum done different things to my mum, so now we've like gone, oh, okay, well, I thought it was like this, and he's like, I thought it was like that. So we've got like a happy medium now in between, and we've kind of created our own thing, what we do. But you do those actions, you don't know what you're doing at that moment that you've never experienced. You then look back and think, okay, what did they do? So yeah, I think you do really pick up.
Very much so, yeah. And you know, as we know, the earth element is all about that mother in us, whether we've got children or not. It's that we are the role models. So you know, let's treat ourselves the way we want others to treat themselves, and be that role model for future generations. Thank you so much, Courtney, for coming here today. I don't think we've got any more questions at the moment. But yeah, just to reiterate, you've got your edible windowsill workshop, which is going live on the 22nd of February. The last entry date for that is the 15th. And if people want to join that, it's £22. You're doing it at a discount. If people want to join that, they send you a direct message, or they go on your website?
Yeah, you can go on my website, and there's like a contact us box, or you can just message me on Facebook. I'm in this group, so just search me. I don't mind. Or, you know, any way you want to message me, send a pigeon. I'm not bothered. There's a lot of birds here around in South Woodham.
Your website, I'll put it in the comments, but it's plantdelicious.co.
Yes, it is. And then I'm also, sorry, go on.
No, yeah, go on, because you're having a launch, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm launching the microgreen kits, and also other edible windowsill kit as well. So yeah, if you're signing up for the workshops, you're going to get them before the launch, which is really exciting. You can try them out. And so I'm launching that as well. So hopefully it will be like a big thing to be able to inspire people to take to their windowsills and plant a seed. And that's just what I really want to aim for. I'm also talking actually tomorrow on Instagram, on a Leon C site. So yeah, so if you want to join in on Instagram, you're on Instagram, you can follow me there, and then there's information about what I'm talking about.
And that's really interesting, because that thread on Instagram is all about progress, not perfection. Yeah, and that was something that really resonated loud and strong from you when you're talking about this plant to plate process. It's okay, be patient, learn, you're going to make mistakes, but it's all about the journey, and not trying to create this massive instant change. We've got to go through the process, and that's the important piece. It's the progress. Yeah, so I love that. So you're talking tomorrow, and what time is that?
Tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Okay,
but excellent. it will be on Instagram TV saved afterwards. So if you can't make the live, that's fine.
Okay, great. Well, we'll put your links in the comments so people can connect.
Thank you so much.
And if you could send me the details for the edible windowsill workshop, you've got your first customer.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Such a joy to have you.
I've got to do this this year. So yes, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you all for taking the time out of your day to listen to me jabber on about food.
Courtney, thank you very much. Thanks for being a wonderful part of the group as well. And we'll see you soon. Much love, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.